Hello, and welcome to another episode of He Said, She Said. I am Melanie Smith, and he is.
Stephen Smith.
And today we just want to welcome our special guests. We have family here today with us. That's a blessing, and we're excited. And so this is Kevin Smith, which is Steve's baby brother. And then we have his wife, Pam Smith, here with us. So it's a Smith thing going on today. So this is just really exciting for us because we sit around and have dialogue all the time anyway. So we can always have really good perspective conversations. So we're just going to have one today. We're going to just act like we are sitting in the living room, just having one of our good old conversations, except for it'll be all four of us talking instead of Steve and Kevin talking about the Browns or something, and me and Pam talking about Jesus. That's just kind of how it goes.
Somehow I need to say something. We can talk about the Browns. Go ahead.
I don't know a thing about the
And
Browns.
neither do I. So it would be y'all again.
Okay.
Except for they they think that they are the general manager and the president of all the Ohio sports teams. But anyway, so yes, we'll just start talking. So we'll just do a little history. How long have you guys been married?
30 years. Actually, it'll be 31 this year in May.
Woo, woo. That's something. That's amazing, and that's a major feat in itself, just to be married that long. That's right. It was just a minute behind us, right? So, y'all Smith boys got some longevity going on because the other couple, Smith couple, have been married for like 39 years. Wow. And then we'll be 34 in March. So that's major.
Yeah.
That's major. So because of that, I was thinking about what that actually entails and how a lot of people don't even understand what it actually takes to be married that long. And when you are married that long, this is what I was thinking about earlier. So this is how my brain just goes. So we've performed ceremonies, and I know you guys have too. Because, let me back up and say that you guys are both ministers at Kingdom Life Assembly. So this is Minister Kevin Smith, and this is Elder Prophetess Pamela Smith. So we'll put all of those names out there so that people will understand what all we do. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I was thinking about the vows that we share with people when we are actually performing a wedding ceremony. And what dawned on me this morning was that we say most of the vows that you read in the book or that you pull up on the internet all say, for better or for worse, for richer or for poor, and in sickness and in health. And if you've been married as long as you all have and as we have, you will have lived through all 6 of those things. Okay. So that just kind of dawned on me. I said, wow, we've had a little and we've had a lot. And we've been well, especially when we were younger. And as we are getting older, we begin to have some health issues. And you are a major one. Mm-hmm. You are a miracle sitting at the table, actually.
Amen.
And then the good and the bad. The good and the bad. Mm-hmm. That goes with the sickness and the health and the richer and the poor as well. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah. And so I was just thinking about that. So I figured that was a good way for us to start because there's so much in there, right there. And a lot of people think that, as soon as times get hard or as soon as things get bad, they kind of, they give up and they say, oh, it's not working or it's not going to work because they don't know how to fight through the rough times and the tough times. Right. And a lot of new couples think that because you love Jesus and serve the Lord, that the tough times are not coming, but they are. They are. As they used to say, I know my mother used to say, just keep on living. Right. Just keep on living. It's going to come. And so I just would like to know what you guys would like to say about any of that I've just said.
Yeah, just pick one. Better, worse, richer, poor,
Sickness, health.
Sickness, health.
Right.
Just pick one and
Hey, we're gonna let Kevin start.
Okay. Nice.
yeah, maybe you can, enlighten us a little on the sickness and the journey of
Right.
what you went through.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll just start back at the beginning. Back in June of 2023, I had quintuple bypass surgery. Kind of came out of nowhere. I was just at work and then not feeling well, and then my wife, advised me to go get checked out. Because as men, we don't worry about our health. We kind of push to the side. So I'm fine. I deal with it. And that's pretty much what I said that day. I'm like, oh, I'm okay. I feel a little uncomfortable, but I'm fine. I'll go ahead and work the day out since I'm already at work. And she insisted on me leaving work and going and getting checked out. And once I talked to my supervisor, she said the same thing. She was like, no, leave immediately, go get checked out. And come to find out, 17 days later in the hospital, I had a quadruple bypass surgery. And so, just been recovering since then. And my wife has just been amazing, taking care of me. And I had to learn how to walk again. And she had to dress me and shower me and just all kind of stuff. So, just 1,000 thank yous to her, So, but, things are going well, recovering pretty good. Not 100% yet, but getting really close, and to God be the glory.
Yeah.
Amen.
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 You want to talk about that?
Well,
What
I
she
mean,
say?
yeah, he summed it up really well. I think the biggest takeaway, I wouldn't say the biggest takeaway, but one of my takeaways was when he called, with a sense of urgency in his voice, letting me know that he just wasn't feeling well. It was like moments before it was time for me to walk out the door and go to work. So I had to kind of pretty much, reroute and go get him. Thank God he was in the neighborhood. And when I picked him up, like he mentioned, men a lot of times will be like, I'm good, I'm fine, I'm good, the tough role. And, okay, that's to be commended to a degree, And, but I kept questioning him because my spirit was saying something different. But at the same time, I couldn't make him do anything. So I continued to ask him, and as he was, actually, I think I was driving to work, which, he was going to main campus and I was going to main campus. And so I asked, how are you feeling? Are you sure? Should I at least take you to emergency, let them check you out? And no, they're going to let me go. I said, well, what if they don't? But what I kept saying that, but I was really sensing something was seriously wrong, just based on, the way he was acting, and he was just kind of a little lethargic a bit. So something was not right. Mm-hmm. And so I kept asking him through the whole travel to work. And then I said to him, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, I really wanted to make it extremely simple, right? Because I'm okay doesn't necessarily mean you feel all the way all right.
Yeah.
It could also be a speaking of faith, which is what he does a lot.
That's good.
By faith, I'm good. By faith, I'm okay. By faith, this is nothing.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting in the place of sensing something different because, it was just off. So we did what he said. And I said, finally, when he told me, I said on the scale of 1 to 10, he said, about a 5. So I said, okay, my final words were, but what if they keep you? Now the car is there and I'm here, and how will I get to you? And that's exactly what happened. Wow. So yeah, we did have to call our daughter to come get me and then get to the hospital to see what was going on. So it was just a lesson. It was a lesson for us. We really gotta tune in, and I'm not saying we can tune into each other all the time, but I think the more we open up our communication channels and really feel each other in an intimate way, that way we can feel each other. Many times he might have sensed the heaviness that I might have felt at work and just text me, I love you, or how's your day, at the moment that my day was heavy. So that's what keeping, the intimacy, the communication part of intimacy open, so that you can kind of feel each other and know when something is kind of off. Yeah.
And that discernment.
Yes,
and
for
the,
sure.
And sometimes the respecting the other person's discernment.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like, even if you didn't know yourself, she knew about you that you didn't know about yourself at the moment, or that you didn't want to believe at the moment. You know what I'm saying? Like like she said, just kind of saying, by faith, I'm believing,
Right.
this is not going to be all of that. I probably have heartburn or something minor or whatever. But you discerning, because that is so very important. And a lot of times, they call it women's intuition. They call it, sixth sense and all of that kind of stuff. But it's just discernment. A lot of times you are very perceptive because you are prophetic. And so a lot of times you can tap into things that you don't even, you be like, why do I feel like this? You know what I mean? Because sometimes, Steve will call me and
deposited in your knower.
right.
Yeah.
And I say, are you praying for me? Because I could just be at work having a day. Just
Yeah.
having it. Like, it's just coming from
All
a
angles.
difficult client to a whole lot of church stuff to a whole lot of, something going on in the building or, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, I've been ministering since I walked in the door trying to do people's hair, but I'm ministering more than I'm actually working, and it'll begin to take a toll. And so I'll be like, are you praying for me? Do you feel this? Do you feel this? The weight that I'm feeling, are you feeling it? Because I need you to cover me, kind of thing. But that's good. I'm glad that that was just so much. It was something, that whole experience was something that it scared the daylights out of us, and we never would have expected it. But I know it definitely changes your perspective on each other. Like you said Pam had to take care of you, literally, and then, and a lot of times these situations come right when, we could be at a point of frustration, or we're just comfortable. We're just comfortable living our lives.
Yeah,
We're just taking
for
things,
granted.
yeah. And then all of a sudden it's like, boom, and then it's like, wow, I can't imagine my life without him, or you even thinking, a couple of hours later or a day later, I could have been gone. The very thought of that, you know what I'm saying? Because that's what I was saying. I was like, oh my God, thinking like that, and then it makes you kind of restructure your priorities. It makes you think about things a little differently. So that was like sickness, bad, you know what I'm saying? All of that. But at the same time, like you said, you have takeaways from it. You have lessons from it. You have a testimony from it. You have a story from it. You have a book from it. I'm looking at you. You know what I'm saying? Literally. And I will say this, I'll say this right in the middle of this. Kevin is not one that just readily talks, especially publicly. You'll catch Pam talking all the time. You'll catch Pam talking with me. You'll catch Pam talking at other places. She's ministering. She's up or doing all kind of public speaking. Even on her job, she's speaking all the time. Kevin is quiet, in large groups of people. And so it's really, it's interesting to see, how God will put a testimony in your mouth and give you something to say. And this is really the beginning of, seriously, you have a lot to say. And your voice is louder than you think it is. And I'm not just talking about singing, but that too. But I'm just saying your speaking voice, it has to be heard, because there are things that you need to say that people need to hear from you. And this is the beginning of it. So I'm proud of you for being here, for actually sitting up here and talking. I knew Pam would come, but I've been nervous all the way till we got here that you were going to say, you know what?
Well, just talking about the sickness aspect, and what it shows you is that it's nothing like sickness to change your perspective. I mean,
Yes.
when you get in a situation, I guess all of it, richer, poor, sickness, health, um,
Better or worse.
yes, better, worse. It's all a change of perspective, and so, but when you go through something, it helps you put things in proper perspective. It helps you reevaluate and realize. Sometimes I think we just spend too much time concentrating on the race, on the finish line, on the hustle and the bustle, and I want better. I want to rise higher. That we don't appreciate the now.
Yeah.
And so when something happens traumatically, it causes us to put things in perspective, and learn to appreciate the small things, the simple things. I tell couples all the time about, when you have little babies, it's way more work than you imagined. And so it's a trying time when they're little babies. So you can get caught up in, oh, how do I handle this? Oh, baby crying and I don't know what to do and all of that stuff. But as soon as they become a toddler, you miss when they were a baby. Right. As soon as they become a 5 or 6 year old and they start going to school, then you miss when they were a toddler. And so you have to learn to appreciate life right where you are. I think that's a lesson for us, especially in the United States of America, and especially being black. Is you can get caught up in the hustle and the push and all of that, but sometimes we simply need to slow down and enjoy life.
Yeah, I tell you that about food all the time. Eat, and then before you know it, it's over. If it was really good, and I'll do that. I'll be like, well, what happened to it? You ate it. It was good, but you didn't even really take the time to
Enjoy it.
savor the flavor,
Yeah.
right, and enjoy it, and then it's gone. so I guess it's like that. That's what you're saying with everything. It's like enjoy the moment, even the stuff that doesn't look good is working out for our good.
Yes.
So
I was actually gonna say that scripture, Mel, that all things work together, and a lot of people don't like when heartache or headache comes that you apply that, but it is what it is.
It is.
When tough times come, if you just really would kind of look up and allow God to show you His good in the midst of that storm, as that storm is passing over, and even as it has ended. If you would just allow Him to show you the all good, He will. And so one of the things, because Kevin and I talked a lot intimately again throughout that process, and as he began to drive finally, which I couldn't wait till he drive, because I'm used to him riding me around. I was like, oh my God. I took that for granted, right?
Yeah.
Because
it
helped me to see, because I drive him nuts. Stop, I'm hitting the brakes, I'm turning the wheel, and he's like, you making me nervous. I'm like, I can't help it, And so we're going back and forth with that, but he and I were driving, I think we're driving to church, and I'm always trying to pull thought out of him because he sits so quiet, but he's a thinker for sure. And so I asked him, what is your perspective out of all of this? And then he can just, wow, that hospital. And, he's talking about a few things. And I said, but did God show you you're loved? And I meant literally that got to him, because I said, did God show you you're loved by more than just me or more than just your brother, those people that show it to you automatic? Did God show you that you're loved by your children? Did God show you that they care? Did God show you that, oftentimes I'm on the phone or busy all the time. Okay, it is what it is. But he may be like, wow, I didn't get a call for my birthday. That kind of thing. Not feeling as valued sometimes.
Absolutely.
But through this process, he, even up to this day, people will walk up to him, my friends and otherwise, did you feel our prayers? Oh, glory. And I mean going in about it, because prayer was going forth everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
And he really came to realize at the end of that storm wow, these people do see me. And I said that. I said, do you know they see you? And sometimes we really need to know that,
Absolutely.
that we're seen. I mean, it's a part of our makeup, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so for him to know that, or we often talked about how did the kids respond initially, or how was the kids through the process, or how are the kids while I'm in the hospital, and to share those stories with him each time would bring him to tears, But in my heart, I'm thinking, had you any doubt? But I mean, you can't even question that. He feels how he feels
Right.
about
Yeah.
it. And
Right.
at that point, God really was pouring into him on the all things work together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
that had to
Amen.
happen,
Right.
but he allowed us to see what kind of glory he got in so many different
So
ways
many
as a
ways.
result of that happening.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't even think that you've seen it all. I believe more
Yes.
even be
It's the
revealed,
beginning.
as to what all was actually taking place in that process. We're Apostle Prue says all the time about our prayers, how when you have a routine, and how a lot of years you would go in the closet and pray, because I know how you were, and and things like that, and then your life shifts and you can't do what you used to do,
Yeah.
but you want to, but the way my life is right now, I just can't do it.
Yeah.
And so he said, and the Lord showed him, but it was stored up. You stored it when you could do it. You did it,
Yeah.
and it was stored up. And those things that are stored up for a later time. And then when that time comes, you'll see. So it's like, when you've been sowing and you've been doing and you've been whatever it is that you do, and it seems as if there's no payback for all the stuff that you do, all the seeds that you sow, all the gifts that you plant, all the smiles that you give, all the words of encouragement, and all of that you do on a regular basis without even thinking. You're just doing it. This is just what I do. All the laughter you offer and make your jokes and make people laugh. That's laughter does good like a medicine.
Yeah.
So that's still seed sowing, right? So you're doing all of these things, and then you don't even realize what you actually planted. And then later, right when you need it, here's the manifestation. It's coming back up. You're like, where did this come from? Oh, you had that stored up from when you did that, 5 years ago, and you forgot all about it. That's the way it is, because we're planting seeds all the time, good, bad,
Right.
whatever it is we're doing, we're planting, right? And the harvest comes up, but it doesn't come up the next day after you plant the seed. It comes up later. And some stuff, it takes longer for it to grow. And some stuff God holds back until the appointed time, until we need it. And so I'm just saying, there is more of this that you'll get back from the pain and all of that was suffered, that you'll end up seeing later. You're like, well, where did that come from? Oh, yeah, that was stored up. And that was stored up. And that was stored up. So
Yes,
you'll
I'd
see
like
it.
to go back to when you said you are used to Kevin driving you around, and then
Where we going with this?
Right.
no, what I want to
No.
don't be afraid.
Right.
So what it made me think about is, again, perspective.
Yeah.
And so there was a role reversal, and sometimes we don't appreciate our spouses because we don't know what it takes to do what they do. And so some seasons in our life brings about a role reversal. I just recently, just a few months ago, God showed me the wife's perspective from just that thing, from the car. So what he showed me was that, because I kept looking at it like, I have to take Melanie everywhere. I got to go here. I got to go there. I have to take her everywhere. And God showed me that it's not so, because you're the pilot and she's the co-pilot, it's not so easy to be the co-pilot. Co-pilot has the same responsibility as the pilot, but they have to wait to be in charge, or when it is necessary. If an emergency comes, then the co-pilot must take over. And in the meantime, the co-pilot is exercising faith. It's not easy to be on the passenger side and say, I wonder if they can see what I see, and they know, let's stop. So that's why you put on the imaginary, brakes, and you know, and you say, look at that light, look at that. Do you see that? And sometimes I would get upset. You know, I'll
I
get
see
upset.
that. I see that.
Oh,
Male,
so it's not just me.
oh no, it's everybody.
Anybody else out there?
It's I mean, you know, because it seems so obvious to me. So I'm thinking, you're pointing out that 18-wheeler. Do you think I don't see
Right.
that big truck? Do you think I haven't considered this or that? But there are times when it's necessary. There are times when it's an emergency. You were the co-pilot even when Kevin called and said he felt a certain way, and you said, "Well, how do you really feel on a scale of 1 to 10?" It was your persistence.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you sensed it, and so we have to appreciate the co-pilot in the same sense. If you're the co-pilot, you have to appreciate the pilot, what you've learned through the months where you had to do the driving and you had to do, you know, we take each other's roles for granted.
Absolutely.
Right.
And so we have to learn to look at life and everything and everybody from another perspective. And the more you broaden your perspective, the more intelligent, the more wise you become. I say that if you are always the smartest person in the room, or
You're in the
think
wrong
you're
room.
right, or think you're the smartest person in the room all the time in
Right.
every situation, then you need to go somewhere else.
Yes.
Right.
But we
Yeah.
all have to learn to listen and learn and respect from the other position, not just husbands and wives, but children and black and white. The whole thing is like God has been pouring that into me, that we must respect the God in each person.
Yes.
See, we can get full of ourselves and think that, oh, I got it because I hear from God. Well, they hear from God too. And there's some stuff that you don't have because God is simply too massive, too big for any one of us to have it all. And so the more we welcome in other perspectives, the more we grow.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And so did how did your perspective about your kids change during this time that you had? Because didn't they have to do a lot of things for you?
Yeah.
Where before you were doing for them, it wasn't just driving Pam and her having to drive you. You had to allow. Because that's a hard place, I guess, when you are like you're the priest of the home and you're the man of the house, and you have to allow even your children who almost depend on you for almost everything, and you had to rely on them. How did that change your perspective at all?
I would just say it, changed my perspective and knowing that they're more capable than I thought they were. So a lot of the things, that I usually handle, they were able to help out Pam and handle them, those things.
So it might even been a season of growing up for them too.
Yeah.
Letting them.
Definitely.
Yeah, letting them do some stuff, preparing them. Because again, it's like you start looking at things and you don't want to think like that. But at any given moment, if I'm not here, how will you maintain? Could you maintain?
Right.
What would you do? And it kind of, that's what I mean. It's like so many things in play all at one time, It's like, and things will never go back the way they were. Everything is different.
Yeah.
For y'all's household, it's just like the pandemic. It changed life for good.
Everybody, yeah.
Yeah, it changed everything. And it's like we shouldn't even try to put it back because God allowed it so that change could come, so that our eyes could be open, so that scales could come off, so we could see things differently. And it's sad when people try to go and put things back the way it used to be, because God doesn't want it to be that way anymore. He wants it different.
Yeah, he wants bygones to be bygones.
This guy. So, it was something I knew I had wrote down a couple of notes. So let's talk about. So you guys have 4 children, and they're all adults. I was just thinking about that. I'm like, grown, like absolutely, positively grown. You have grandkids and everything. And so, what does the possibility of soon or eventually having like an empty nest? What does that look like? Had you even thought about it?
And traveling.
Yeah.
Getting gone, just gone.
Right. That's so good that you have that's a great perspective, because so many empty nests only. The thing is that it affects people really bad if they're not willing to adjust. If they somehow get into the perspective that I'm a mom or I'm a dad and that's all I am. No, that's one of the things that you are. And now, once you get past that stage, like you said, you can travel, you can kick it with your husband on the boyfriend level again,
Exactly.
You can have fun in ways you couldn't when responsibility was holding you down. And so it's always about perspective. You can look at it like, my kids are gone and boo hoo hoo, or you can look at it like, my kids are gone, yippee, yay, let me live life in a different way.
I've done my job.
And it also, I think you are working towards that place when you're raising your family. And I think, especially to my young families out there, spending time, Kevin and I, we would spend time with the kids, spend time without the kids, spend time individually. And so doing that, helped us to kind of grasp that our life is not just based around our kids, because a lot of times that's what causes that. Now the kids are gone and I don't even know who you are.
Right.
Or not only do I not know who you are, but I don't even like you.
Yes.
Like I love you, but I don't like you.
Right.
And spending time helps keep that flame going and keeps nurturing that relationship.
Yes.
So when the kids are gone, you like, let's go, and you're ready to do it because you're used to spending time alone, and you really do have something to talk about.
Yes.
And you really do want to spend that intimate time, whether it's with couples or one-on-one, it doesn't matter, you know?
Right.
So just nurturing your relationship now, no matter how small your kid is, don't base it all around your kid. It'll leave you with nothing when it's all said and done.
Absolutely.
And that's
And a lot
a
of
sad
people get
place.
there.
And it does happen.
Yeah.
And that's a sad place because I believe you can grow apart. But from your mate, I believe you can grow apart
yeah,
if you
absolutely
don't
you can.
invest time. So you have to do that. You have to be intentional with that relationship, and treat it like you want it to last a long time, or it won't.
Yep.
It just won't. And the other thing is, it does not take one person. I can pour into him as much as I want, but if I'm getting rejected constantly, then that's going to leave that empty relationship no matter what I do. So we both have to be willing to, like you mentioned earlier, Steve, nurture our relationships. It cannot be all about me. It cannot be all about what he can do for me and how he can make me happy. It has to be about us preferring outward to strengthen that relationship. Because he could treat me like a queen all day long, and he does, the way he knows how. But through our communication, he knows how to treat me like a queen, like I want to be treated, not like he wants to treat me, right? And we nurture that relationship, along the way. So when the empty nest comes, it's on and popping.
Right. Then I still know you. Not I gotta, because it's a lot of times they have to get to know each other all over again. Because the truth of the matter is that over a period of time, we are changing.
Yes.
We're evolving. We are growing. We are maturing. And a lot of times, sometimes one person is maturing and one is not. And if there's no communication, constant communication, then you don't even see the changes as they happen. You know how, I used to be skinny. And people that haven't seen me in years will be like, whoa, you used to be skinny. But if you've seen me all along the way, you wouldn't be shocked. You'd be like, oh, that's just Mel. It's been a gradual process. This has been over years. But if you've not seen me in 10 years, then you'll be shocked. right? Well, it's kind of like that. People live in a house together and they haven't seen each other in 10 years because they've been about work and kids. And then they retire and the kids get grown and now they're staring at each other because they didn't make the gradual investment. And even in an effort to try to make it work, a lot of times it still doesn't work to try to get to know each other again. Because I used to kind of be confused when people say, well, we just wanted different things in life, or we just grew apart. And I would be thinking, well, how did you do that? What did you want different? What did you decide? Then y'all discuss what you wanted in the beginning.
What were you unwilling to do?
Right.
Even?
Right.
You know
right,
what I mean?
Right.
To meet the need of that other person.
Other person.
What did you give up on?
Right.
Something happened.
Yeah.
And it can happen.
Yes.
But like I said, it takes two willing people.
Right.
To be able to, first of all, hear me, right? And I got to hear you, and I'm telling you, listen, I'm telling you, I don't like that,
Right.
or whatever the case may be,
Right.
And you're going, oh, you be all right, I ought to be okay,
Right.
I'm telling you this, respect that I said that, and now let's work on something.
Let's work on it.
Yeah, let's work on doing something you do like,
Right.
and preferring each other that way.
Absolutely.
And you have to keep each other's cups full.
And that's so important, so very important.
And knowing that your job or your assignment is to love your spouse, is to provide for your spouse, is to give them what they need, not to concentrate on yourself and try to, if that was the case, then you could have been single.
Yeah.
But the Bible says the two shall become one. And so we oftentimes get caught up, especially at the young part of marriage. We concentrate on ourselves, me. But life is about maturing and learning to give and not to always be in the receiving position and always looking for what's in it for me.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we have I brought our book so everybody could see who I'm always talking about, because we always show these books at the end. So this book right here called I Am Superwoman, I kept saying it's co-authored by my sister-in-law, Pamela Smith. Well, that is Pamela Smith right there. So she is the co-author of this book. And I know a lot of times, and this is available on Amazon, it's called I Am Superwoman. If you pull up either one of our names, the book will come up. It's on Amazon. It is $14.99. Get your copy today. But in the book, I hear a lot of messages preached, and in a lot of the messages they talk about, stop trying to be Superwoman. Stop trying to be, everybody's everything. And so I always think about that, and I said, well, that's not what we say in our book. That's not what we're saying in this book when we say I am Superwoman. We're talking about our superpower given to us by God and being connected to the power source, being plugged into God and getting our supernaturalness from Him, and then doing whatever He called us to do. So that's what we are talking about when we talk about being a superwoman, not thinking that you are everybody's everything and that we just ride around, we fly through the air with a cape on and our feet never hit the ground. That is not what we are talking about, but that we wear a whole lot of hats and we do a whole lot of things, and that we have supermen who actually wrote the foreword in our book. Steve and Kevin wrote the foreword in our book. And in writing this, and sidebar, I'm sure there's a Superman kind of something on the horizon. I'll just put that in the atmosphere. Anyway, so in writing this, it's like there's definitely a part two. I know there's part two. You know there's part two. People called me and got mad because they said they were done and they wanted it to keep going. And they were like, I was just mad because the book was over. And I said, well, don't worry, part two is coming. But it's just a book of encouragement to women. And we talk about some of our struggles and a lot of our overcoming in the book. And so I wanted people to know that, it doesn't matter where you've been or what you've done. God has put something in you and he wants to pull that out of you. We all have purpose and destiny, and God wants us to walk in the purpose and walk in the destiny. And it's not all, preaching and standing behind a pulpit. It's not always about that. Some people's purpose and destiny is to be an excellent mother and raise, a house full of children that will be, contributors to society. Sometimes that's the purpose and the destiny. Sometimes it's in the marketplace, that their ministry is literally to be in the marketplace. It's not all about the pulpit. And a lot of people think that they don't have anything to give and they don't have anything to deposit, to the world or whoever are around them, because they don't preach or because they don't sing or whatever it is.
It doesn't look like
somebody else's. Right.
And that's the whole thing that you have to remember. It's only one you, and nobody could be a better you than you.
Right. Absolutely. And so I said all that, and I did bring up the Superman thing because I'd like to know what he has to say, and I mean both he's, about, because you've shown us that you have some superpowers. So what could you, and so this might be your introduction to your Superman book, but what would you say to encourage men about tapping into who God called them to be?
I guess I would say, as far as in order to tap into God, you have to spend time with God. So I think that would be the first step, is to, spend more time alone with God and praying and reading His Word and getting an understanding of His Word, and then hearing from God. And I guess if you start there, then you can kind of, tap into what He's saying.
So do you see yourself doing these empowerment sessions?
Not really, but I got to talk to God some more.
More like hear what He's saying.
Yeah.
What about you, E?
Let me finish laughing. What about me? In what way? What do you mean?
Same thing I said.
Can I see? I absolutely can see that. I have a problem of procrastinating, letting the perfect be the enemy of good, as my mentor, Chief Apostle, would say. Never let the perfect be the enemy of good. So what he means by that is, I'm trying to perfect something that I haven't even started. And so I'll have the concept, but I'm trying to get to the end before I can even start at the beginning. And so it is very hard for me to break through that. But I'm working on it, and Superman is definitely a book that's in me and in my brother, and we shall do that together. I also have, a couple of books in me, and plays, and many more songs. So I'm in the process of working on me, which is simply pressing into what Kevin said is really profound. You have to press your ear to God's lips to hear what He says about you, to be affirmed and reaffirmed, to be and to discover who you are. Again, my Chief Apostle always says God wants to introduce you to you. And so when you realize who you are and all that's in you and all the potential and all of the imagination that you have, and only you in many cases have, when you learn who you are, then you can share who you are with others. And so I'll give it to you. You're right.
I don't want to be right. I just want you to do it. Because I see something so much greater than that. But But I know um, what I heard was with the never letting the perfect be the enemy of good is don't let the fear of failure stop you from starting.
Yeah, that's good.
And so a lot of times we have a concept and an idea, and because we don't think it will ever get anywhere, we won't even do it. We won't even put forth the effort. But the Lord is always, just saying, I can't breathe on anything that you don't do. You have to do it first, and then I can breathe on it.
Well,
Whether this made 1,000, sold 1,000,000 copies, or 10, we could say we were obedient.
Yeah.
We could say we were obedient.
And there's a sweet release in being obedient,
Yes.
even when you do it. It's just, I think when you realize that, when you're children of God, you realize that, what I'm doing is unto Him anyway. And first and foremost is, okay, I'm going to do this afraid, right? And I'm going to allow God to breathe on it and let it be whatever it is. So
Yes.
getting out of your own way in that regard is extremely important. And then just equally as we say, oh, what if this fails? Well, what if it doesn't?
Right.
Like, looking at it from a different perspective and doing it anyway, or trying it anyway,
Yeah.
or taking the first step is to begin to, start to journal it, begin to imagine what it looks like,
Yes.
or begin to imagine the audience that it will impact, and the
That.
reach, and
Yes.
and understanding that this goes beyond my fear, but somebody's waiting on this to be released
That part.
so that they may break free, because
Yeah.
that's what we hear about. We're not
Yeah.
here about ourselves. We hear about to have the impact we need to have on the lives of others,
Right.
and and to bring salvation by way of a book sometime. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yes.
God uses all kind of tools to draw people nigh to Him. So being willing to do that alone is enough to ignite a little bit of a flame to do it afraid
Absolutely.
and give it a try.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, I would say that it's naturally harder for men, like to be saved, because men are not in touch with the abstract. With the men are logical creatures, and we were made to be in the role of God. So it causes you to um, to be put in the role to love as Christ loved the church, right? So now I'm in protection mode, and what I do, and so men are goal oriented, and sometimes we're so goal oriented that so when you reach the end of one thing, you take a breath of relief, like,
Yeah, that's over, huh?
yeah, just like you said, and so you'll get the confirmation and like you said, a release because you were obedient and you did it. And then all of a sudden, here comes the next thing before you can even
Regroup.
breathe in
Yeah.
a sense of accomplishment. So I think that perfection thing, or that uh, finishing thing, comes from the nature of God. And so the reverse nature is to put faith in what is not, what you can't see, what you can't feel, what you can't touch. All right. But God made us also men in the nature of, it's on me, and I must protect and provide and do this thing, right? And so along comes God to slap you with some sense, like slapping Paul off the horse, and say, I am God. And you say, oh, I'm supposed to rely on you. Oh, I'm supposed to learn from you. Oh, I'm supposed to sit at your feet. I've never sat at anybody's feet, especially if I had an absent father.
Yeah.
And so sometimes the way of the world causes you, it puts uh, a stumbling block in your way, when just like a kid, a boy accepts a stepfather differently than a girl, because a boy is like, I had to, who is this guy? And so the process is longer. I'm just saying, uh, but what you said a few minutes ago, Melanie, you said if you don't get it done, you can't, you know, what it, or actually it's like a self fulfilling prophecy because now I have failed because I haven't
Try.
done it, and
Yeah.
and I've seen it all the time when I talk to people about relationship. You know, uh, people who have a controlling nature, and it's because of fear. A fear of this person's gonna leave me, this person's gonna do me wrong. So they're looking around every corner. They got jealousy, and all of that thing is just overpowering. It's taking over their life, and oftentimes they can't have a long-lasting relationship because they ruin it with the paranoia.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is happening when it was not.
Yeah.
And so this is the first time I ever saw it that way because typically I'm talking to people about that and I'm telling them you are not giving this a chance. You are breathing death into what you should breathe life into.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, I'll just tell you guys what I saw. This is what I saw. I literally had a vision of this. I see this stage, this place, this arena type of setting that looks much like a conference, but it's a men's and a women's conference taking place at the same time. And guess who's conducting the men's conference? That's what I see. And it's like, but it's like there are so many steps that have to take place before that. And so, we got a prophetic word about 3 months ago. It was a corporate word. And the word was that God said we had 6 months to get our houses in order. And it wasn't a spooky get your house in order, I'm going to strike you dead. It wasn't that kind of get your house in order. What God was saying was, I'm giving you 6 months to get yourself prepared because what I have for you next, if you don't get yourself in order, you won't be able to partake of it. Mm-hmm. Meaning there's something there for you, and if you don't position yourself, you can't even receive it. And that was profound. So that could be something as major as, I have $1 million set there for you, but if you don't do this, this, and this, I can't give you that. You haven't been faithful over little. I can't make you ruler over much. Or I have a job opportunity for you or a business venture for you or whatever, because it meant something different to everybody. Mm-hmm. But he was saying, if you don't do whatever get your house in order means to you, because whatever God has been dealing with you about doing, then the next thing that I have for you, you won't be able to have. So let's just say God says, I got a movie deal for you.
Well, let's just say.
And you don't write the play. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever.
Let's just say when God put the opportunity for Joel Osteen to take over his father's church.
Yeah.
And he decided, I'm not my dad.
Right.
I'm just this me.
He said he thought his brother would be the more likely candidate.
I'm not the one. I can't do this. Mm-hmm. If he would have stuck with that instead of hearing the voice of God.
Yeah.
Now he's got
a mega church.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. That grew exponentially once he became.
It became bigger than his father's
right.
church.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it just makes you look at things a little differently. We think of ourselves like, well, what God told me to do, I should do it, but it really doesn't make that much difference. If I don't. I couldn't be that important in the whole grand scheme of things. Surely God could use someone else to say the things that I hear on the inside, but I don't really know how to say, or I don't want to say, or I'm afraid to say. Somebody else can come along and just say those things. God wants me to give somebody a word. He can use somebody else to give that word. He want me to sing a song. Somebody else can sing that. Mm-hmm. And no, he might get the person the information that they need another way, but I don't want anybody's blood required at my hand. And that's the way I started looking at it. That some things, if I don't sing, will never get sang. Some songs, that God has given me. And I remember Apostle kept telling, but Roz told me, years ago, and I reminded her of this. She kept telling me, "You got to hear Diana Palmer," and she was a prophetic psalmist, and she passed away some years back. But I kept hearing her name, and I had never seen her. And Ross said to me, "You know, that anointing is on you. You have to sing the prophetic song." And I was like, "Not me." And so I started, I said, okay, well, I'll go hear her. And then I heard her. And some things happened after I heard her. But it's been all of these years and then that thing has literally hit me now, where the song just comes up out of me, and I almost can't hold it in there. It's coming up out of me. But when you hear other people blessed by it, that means more than anything. It's like, had I kept that, they wouldn't have been blessed. So that means I would have been, God would have charged me for not being obedient, because it would have held back what he had for them. Because that sound only comes out of me. I have a sound that only I have. Right. You all have sounds that only come out of you. So even if somebody else can say what you heard, the sound won't sound like it would if it didn't come from you. So we all have a sound that God is calling for us to come up out of us, and we have to be obedient to deliver the sound. And even when you and I write, there's still a sound to the words, So our time has come to an end. It goes so quickly when we start these conversations that get so good. But I am so grateful that you guys came. Kevin and Pamela Smith are family, and because I've just literally prophesied it for an hour, you'll be hearing so much more from the four of us together. And I also wanted to remind you all that we also have a book on marriage. It's called Hearts of Fire. It's also available on Amazon. This one is written by Steve and I, and the workbook is coming to go with it. But it's really good for your marriage ministries if you want to use it. Again, it's available on Amazon under our names as well. So we just, again, thank you all so much.
For having us.
Thank you, Kevin, for talking so much. And I just really, I'm grateful, and I'm anxious to see what God is going to do with you. I keep saying it because it's so heavy on me. I can't even stop it, because God is going to do a lot.
You've been divinely set up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. For sure. But we love you all so much. And I just really felt led to lead you guys. If you don't know the Lord, that was just on me today, just repeat this simple prayer. Say, Lord, I'm a sinner. Come into my heart. Take over my life. Thank you for coming in. So if you said that prayer for the first time, you are now saved. That's all it took. It wasn't deep and spooky. And if you need someone to talk to, if you need to be mentored, shepherded, or anything like that, then all you have to do is respond to us right there where you're watching, and we will see the comments. Okay? So until we meet again the first Tuesday in March, see you later. So long. We love you, and bye-bye.
No way, he will forever make a way. No way, no way. When there was no way, he will forever make a way. No way, no way, no way. He will forever make a way. Whatever you need, the Lord got you. Your life is on his radar. I promise he ain't forgot you. He'll never forget you. He will forever make a way up out of no way. He came to show us real love. Agape. Original, no copy. He in order, not sloppy. He's moving the road out for us now because that road was choppy. He making a way up out of no way. It's a ram in the bush. His name is Jehovah Jireh, our provider. Open your eyes and leave him out on the hook. We hear you don't know.